There we go. And introduce you to Doreen. Doreen Soutar.
I'll do it before you stop clapping. Right, you there?
Where shall I put the recording doohickey? What's best
Here.
for you?
Do I need this? Can you hear me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Do you need the mic?
No, you're fine. You're
Excellent.
Maybe for the recording.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
I've got a
Roughly
big
there.
enough voice anyway. Right, get back there and work the slides.
Doreen, you know there's this old Scottish saying, it's Alex's fault.
Hurrah! Right, welcome to Evolving for Girls, or The Trophy Strikes Back. Next. There we go. I'm Doreen, and this is some stuff about me. I came across evolutionary psychology when I was studying a theoretical master's with the Open University. And I really loved it. I think it's a brilliant subject. The only problem I found was that I don't fit. It doesn't describe me. So I thought, that can't be right. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just, plain ignorant. So I went and studied it a bit more. And actually I found out that there is no place for me in it currently, the way it's researched. So I decided to make up my own. What I've ended up with is basically, it says here, a female perspective on mate selection and evolution. Okay, so this evening I'm going to be talking about a couple of ways that evolutionary psychology treats women. Now, the short version is that basically up until about 20 years ago, we were passive receptacles for male gene replication, basically. Now, although it's gotten a bit better in the last 20 years, not by much. So what I'm going to suggest tonight, can you see okay there? What I'm going to suggest tonight is that we could do with a bit more of a gynocentric view. Rather than the androcentric view, which is male-centered, we need a gynocentric view, which is female-centered, to complement it, so that they can work together to create a much fuller and more detailed model. Okay, so I'm not going to say Darwin was wrong. Everybody says Darwin was wrong. Darwin was not wrong. Darwin was a star. He produced a feminist theory in 1859 that I'm going to use as the basis here now, except I'm going to use it in a slightly different way than the way he meant it. And I'm not saying that evolutionary psychology, the way it's studied now, is all wrong. It's just, it's only the male version. We need the female version. It's only half the story. Okay, so we need to start with how evolutionary psychology fits in evolution in general. Now, I'm not an evolutionary biologist, so this is a sort of layperson's flyby, as it were. There are 5 evolutionary drivers, basically. God, I can't remember what they are. Mutation, recombination, drift, selection. There's another one there somewhere. Excellent! Amazing! Hey! Okay, so mutation is what changes between generations about your own genetic information that goes on. It's about 2%, I think, per person, per generation. But don't quote me on that. Genetic drift is how things change in the population in general. So, for example, humans may have had tails at one point, and now we've lost them, and we've now all got opposable thumbs. Right, genetic drift. We've done that. Migration is about how well we fit in with the environment. Now, it's all very well being a jolly good person, a genome yourself, but the environment can change. And it can change in a way that makes somebody in one generation absolutely great, the next generation being terrible. It's, for example, if the world got flooded and you don't have gills, you're screwed. Recombination is, it's Gregor Mendel. There are 2 alleles to every gene. And mostly, the allele that goes from generation to generation is the same one, the dominant allele. But occasionally you get throwbacks, like Auntie Jean, who had a 6th toe on her left foot, for example, comes up in, maybe 2 or 3 generations, and then it skips generations. That's recombination. It's uncertain. Right, the one we're really interested in, of course, is selection. Now, natural selection is interaction with the environment, making sure that the lions don't eat you, that sort of thing. And sexual selection, the one that we're really interested in, is basically about getting laid. Right, so we've got 2 versions of what Darwin said. The first one was written in 1859 and comes from Origin of Species. This one's quite familiar, I think. It's the struggle between males for possession of the female. This gives you an idea that it's androcentric, male-centric, and the females are there to be possessed. That's all they're good for. In the Descent of Man, this is a booty call, in effect. This is what this means. It's you're booty called. Descent of Man, on the other hand, sexual selection means bling. So, like a peacock or big ass antlers, these are bits of bling. Now, the specific thing about sexual selection pieces of bling is that only one gender in any species has them. So, the male peacock has the feathers, what's it called? A deer. There we go. Stag has the antlers, but the females don't. So there's a difference in the genetic makeup of the males and the females in a big way. So this is also a sexual selection. Now, the important thing to know about the bling and the booty calling is that they have one gender each. If you have the bling, you don't do the booty calling, and if you do the booty calling, you don't have the bling. Go for it. Right. Yeah, so evolutionary psychology today is essentially the academic study of how the bling and the booty calls interact. It's as simple as that. However, until the turn of the century, that's the year 2000, basically the bling version in Descent of Man was completely ignored. And the whole of evolutionary psychology has gone on the definition that it's the males fighting for possession of the females. Now, let's ask why we might ignore Darwin's fabulous theory. Go for it. Okay, so this is from Descent of Man, which was written 12 years after Origin of Species. Darwin said that in over 80% of species, he said 84, I think, males have the bling and females do the booty calling. Next bit. So, if females are doing the booty calling, then they decide, A, which males are going to get their genetic material into future evolution at all, and B, what is defined as attractive in a male. Now, take, for example, something like domestic violence. If we decide we don't really like domestic violence much, and we watch guys fighting, because they're fighting for possession of the female, we might decide to choose the losers in the competition, not the winners. Yeah, I like that too. Excellent.
That will never ever happen.
I'm glad you said that. It's actually been done by a couple of guys called Ophir and Bennett in 2003. Oh my God. Hail to the chief. A couple of guys who actually get it. Basically, finches do that. If you take female finches and you show them male finches fighting, then the females will choose the loser more than they'll choose the winner. And there's also an age thing, but please do shout for a PDF of their work. I've got it. Right. It gets worse, actually, because the direction of evolutionary drift, the kind of things that we all have, like opposable thumbs, all the other things, are also decided by the female. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're doing the booty calling, you've got a lot of power in how evolution is going to develop. However, sexual selection isn't just all that. There's also this really neat thing where it says that it can explain certain aspects that natural selection can't explain. Some of the tricky problems that pre-2000 origin of species evolutionary psychology can't explain, such as wings or eyes. A half an eye is no damn good. You wouldn't select it for natural selection because it's not benefiting you any. You can explain it with sexual selection. The females choose it. Maybe, for example, with wings, females like webby armpits, some sort of thing like that. And then eventually some idiot goes and tries to fall with style and ends up gliding. Lo and behold, welcome to a world of wings. So sexual selection is a fabulous theory. It's not just for females and feminists, but it's also for a lot of tricky problems that otherwise we wouldn't be able to solve. So, evolutionary psychology is all about what women want. Yes, it is. And that's why from 1871 until the year 2000, Darwin's Descent of Man was pretty much ignored. Those are three guys. Yeah, that's him. This is not what women want. That Darwin had trouble with sexual selection by the female. He believed that males were just bloody fabulous. Basically, what evolutionary psychology has done is it's tried very hard to explain evolution without involving women at all. You know, men have got it all. Okay. Now, yeah, there's just keep on gently doing it for. Okay. Yeah, what is missing from this picture? Would you like to do the next one? And the next one. Yeah. Okay, stop there a second. Right, there's some cards going about here with line on it. I talk about, use words like this a lot. And I forget that other people might not be very comfortable hearing these words out loud. There's going to be more of it. So, well, you know, I did think about that. But what I decided was a compromise. Basically, my kids, if I start talking about stuff like this, and oh my God, I have been ranting on about this for 8 years to them. basically, if I go too far and I talk about things like masturbation in front of them, they go, line, they shout line at me. So what I've got these little cards, so if you feel uncomfortable about the terms we're using, you can, wave it about and shout line. Will we try it? 1, 2, 3. Line. Oh, that's pathetic. Right, on we go. Nice one. Okay, back at the evolutionary psychology. So this is an acronym that I use to describe the male-centric ideas about female selection processes without A, involving women, or B, giving us the idea that we really should be doing the booty calling ourselves. Now, evolutionary psychology is a male-heavy area of research. Most of the people doing it, even today, are males. While the origin dominated theory, possession of females, then males had it made. They had both the booty call and the bling. So why the hell would they listen to Darwin and agree that women who in 1859 were being passed from father to husband as property should be told that they should actually be choosing not only their own husbands, but what these husbands should be like. So they said, sod that, and didn't bother. Right. Where am I? Oh, I've gone too far. Have I? I really should put the glasses on. Right. Yeah, they had it made. That's fine. Okay. Right. Where am I? Yeah! Classic thought. I'm missing a page out of my what's it? Right, there we go. Okay, so the superior genetic specimen. This is basically the way you'll hear evolutionary psychology talked about on Radio 4. Basically, the idea is that men with good genes are sexually attracted to women. Women like men with good genes. And conversely, or tautologically, wow, I said that right, sexually selective, attractive males have good genes. Has anybody heard this? We choose good genetic specimens for our husbands. The men that get chosen are superior. Go for it. So when a woman sees a man with good genes, she becomes instantly broody with a desperate urge to make babies out of him. Like, could knit with sperm, I don't know. And that way he's going to pass on all these fabulous genes to their children. Okay, so leave it there. I think. I don't know where that page went. Anyway. I think if this is a serious scientific inquiry, then we should be able to test this empirically, right? We should be able to make an example, give you an example of this. You. Stand there. Right, go for it. We're going to play. Next one. Spot Chino. Right, let's see. Choose any 3 men.
Okay. Consent.
So I'll go for
No, baby.
this guy, and this guy.
Okay. You can stand up if you like, but you're okay to stay where you are. Yeah. Okay. Which of those 3 guys has the superior genome?
This guy.
You waved at her. So, which of these 3 guys, are they all fertile?
You'd hope so.
Which of these three guys would be the best match for your genome? In recombination, you know, the Trixie Mendelian stuff. Do you even know what your genome is? Oh, bugger off. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, sorry, here. Excellent. Right. So basically, we don't know potential genome of any potential mate. We can't tell what their genome is like. We don't know our own genome. Even if we did know the recombination process with Aunt Fanny's foot and toe, that sort of thing. Throwbacks, that's the word. It can be totally unpredictable. So even if you saw a guy with good genes, there's no guarantee that you're going to get, you know, granddad's nose or, you know, eye colour even. Can't even judge the colour of their eyes. And we don't know what good genes are, not least because the environment can change to turn them into bad genes. So the idea that females are choosing males that are superior specimens of genomes for sexual partners is a load of tosh. Right.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's what we are. We are genomes.
You are a genome. Actually, can you put...
So there's no other feature that you can actually judge someone by, because my feature is my genome, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not a tosh. You just choose a very bad example that doesn't prove anything. Like, for example, let's say that someone finds tall people attractive. You have a tall partner, just there is a big chance that your children will be also tall. And if you take under consideration that we are talking about big numbers, not one-on-one, because evolution works on big numbers, you have kind of direction that the evolution is going. This is how it works. It's just really... What about the pheromones?
Oh, well, we'll come to that.
Like,
Yes.
where they're coming from, if not from the genome? If there is something else except in us that's not the genome?
Next slide. Thank you. This is what a genome looks like. That's kind of information we're looking at, deciding males on for sexual partners. American Heritage Dictionary, I had no idea about that before I looked it up. It's all the material that goes into making a new one. It's a knitting pattern for a new human. Yeah? But the way you recombine, the way the mutation sort of leaves a fragmented rather than a defragmented version of you in the next generation, the way that the environment can change from underneath you makes choosing a sexual partner from their genome, from the information in their genome as somebody who has superior genes, is meaningless.
But do we have any other? But we cannot predict changes in the environment. We cannot predict the random change in our genome. We cannot predict radiation and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yes, that is the point. Yeah.
The only thing that we can predict is that small thing that we are talking about superior genome species. And this is why...
Thank you. No, feel
We're
free.
here for conversation, so we'll get through the presentation and get some questions.
That's cool. Don't worry, that's not nearly the worst that I've had. Don't worry. Okay, you may have noticed that I hold it there a second. You may have noticed that I only did this experiment one way. I didn't take a guy up and get him to choose 3 women. Now, there are several reasons for that. Most of it is focused on the male genome and what women choose in males. Now, it's understandable, given it is a primarily male-dominated research area, then that's the bit they don't know. They know what they want in women, they just don't know what women want in them. Secondly, the attributes that males find attractive in women based on popular culture, let's say, such as big pert boobies, are irrational in terms of superior genetics. They offer nothing in terms of being a superior mother. In fact, any sort of motherhood attribute is almost parodied in what males like, such as a small waist. The one thing you can tell about a fertile woman is that she's going to have a bit of flappy skin down here. It's never going to be that small again. So at the very least, if you choose someone with a small waist, then they may be infertile, but they're certainly not going to have been able to prove their fertility already. Thirdly, there we go. Right. The reason that males have the bling and females have the booty calling is that, all things being equal, there's no reproductive advantage for females to have bling. We can only reproduce as fast as we can reproduce. We can have loads of guys, but we will only have the one pregnancy over 9 months, right? So evolution it serves nothing to have these. Nothing at all. I can't deliver more than one baby a year, no matter how big they are. Lots of sex, but no more babies. A man, for example, who has a fabulous load of bling, such as peacock or big ass antlers, they can seriously increase their reproductive rate if they get booty called by loads of women because they have parallel pregnancies. So they can maybe have 20 of their genetic replicas into the next generation. So the bling really impacts on the male's effectiveness to reproduce. So basically, that's the one, it's like having a turbo button without having a turbocharger in a woman. We don't need it. We can't use it. So we don't have them. It has to be the males that have them. Now, if you'd like to go on there's an interesting additional question. How are we choosing? What are we choosing with? In terms of pheromones, do you have a big nose that's really honed in on what guys smell like? Or what else do we choose males for? Anything. We don't have a lot of specific equipment that would be used, like a genome radar in your brain that goes, that one. Hello. Sorry, not you. Right, so answers on a postcard, I don't know. Basically, the way I hear most research discussed, even like a couple of weeks ago on Radio 4 I heard this, that we choose unconsciously. Unconsciously. Now, well, almost sometimes, but that's not for superior men. I've never thought that any of them were superior. It's, for me, basically saying that we choose males on an unconscious basis is saying that they bloody well don't know and they don't care so long as we choose them. So long as they get laid, they don't give us stuff. What kind of thing we do for them. Right. There's a problem, an additional problem with the superior genetic specimen. Now, if we're choosing superior genetic specimens to have sex with, and we've, chosen some, I don't want to look at any man in particular. But if I say, for example, choose you, and I Right, thank you. Oh my God, what a night. Okay, so I choose you and I'm on a contraceptive. Or I choose you and 3 months later I have an abortion. Or I choose you and 9 months later I have the baby adopted. Why the hell are we doing this if we've already chosen superior genes? We made the decision at conception. So why are we using contraception? Why are we using abortion? Abortion is a terrible thing to go through. Why would we do that if we've already chosen superior genes? Now, I don't know. And the thing that really gets me about evolutionary psychology is I'm supposed to know. This is why I don't fit in. I don't know. I don't know why I would get rid of superior genes. I don't know why I would have sex with contraception. I don't know any of that. I don't know how I'm doing this. Okay. So, the superior genetic specimen has some issues. Well, would that be okay with you if I just say it has some issues that it needs to address? Sorry, got you now. Right. It's got 2 main issues. What we choose and why we choose it. Oh, 3, and how we choose it. But since we've given that a slap upside the head, let's go on and have a look at another common narrative of evolutionary psychology. How monogamous are humans meant to be? The short answer is not at all. Allow me to elaborate that a little bit. Right. So the way genders evolve is called co-evolution. So you single species, the males and the females co-evolve. Now, basically we have to make sure that we've got a way of getting. I like it too. I thought it was good. So basically we've got to have the basics in place so as that, babies can't get born. We can't go too far. But this is a traditional kind of co-evolutionary theory. We thought that we cooperated so as that we just got more and more similar. We cooperated with each other to make reproduction easier. However, more recently, and this is why I think that evolutionary psychology has moved on a little, is that recently researchers have started to agree that we're competitive about it. Now, basically, we're both looking to get an easy life for ourselves as genders. We're both looking to get as much out of reproduction as we can without doing any of the bloody work. Next one. So, in the 1970s, Trivers, R.L. Trivers, produces the parental investment theory. Okay, he says that the majority of the responsibility goes to the female. Yeah, we'll grant him that. And for the males, because they invest almost nothing, this is a direct quote, almost nothing. Males inject almost nothing into the reproductive process, so it would be to his advantage to jump as many women as possible. Now, we saw that with, that's why they've got the bling and we're doing the booty calling. Okay, next one. Jared Diamond in the 1990s. Now, I draw your attention to this is 1997. He says, he takes Trivers a bit further and says, pregnancy is a risk of coitus, not the reason we do it. We do it because it's fun. It only took them till 1997.
Oh,
Okay. Basically, the important thing that Jared Diamond said, and I don't know whether he meant to say it, I've just taken a feminist view on it, is that males and females are in an evolutionary arms race to run away from the responsibility of child rearing. Now, I don't know about any of the females here, but name me a strategy that women have ever had for running away from child rearing. Childbearing, pregnancy. Have we figured out how to take it off in the night so we don't have to go pee every 5 minutes? This is basically males have strategies to run away from the child rearing. That's my opinion. We can argue later. Now, okay, so what Diamond is implying in all this is that if we're in an evolutionary arms race, that means that the power between the genders in the reproductive process is flexible. It can change. There would be no point in doing it otherwise. Competitive coevolution there'd be no point in it if we couldn't affect the balance of power between males and females. So, next one. Okay. So the types of theory that researchers like Trivers and Diamond come up with raise quite a tricky question about whether males should be sticking around to help with the child rearing if they have evolved to... Sorry, are you okay there?
Yeah, I'm just.
If they have evolved to maximize their running away capacity, then they can't also assert that they're supposed to be staying there and looking after the children. It just doesn't work. The basic deal is monogamy, child rearing, philandering, lone women. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the woman has to do it alone. This idea that either, that a male dyad, or male-female dyad, the father has to look after the children, not at all. It's perfectly possible for children to be brought up in, say, a loving relationship with 2 women, a loving relationship with lots of women, the matriarchal line of granny and aunt, or even with another man. And if we look at it, while the guy's away, basically the female, for that time that a man is having sex with, creating more than one baby mother, the woman is alone. If we're looking at philandering males having maybe 20 children and maximizing their evolutionary potential, that's 20, it means that each child only has that male protection for a 20th of the childhood. So basically it wouldn't make natural selection sense for women to need a man. It makes much more natural selection sense for a woman to be able to cope without him, because he's not going to be there, not for any moral code, but because they can't be omnipresent. They simply cannot be there for more than one baby mother looking after all their children at the same time. And of course, as we all know, women can be quite philandering too. For every male that's away making another baby mother, there is a woman making his paternity identity a bit suspect. Generally, it's about as slippery as a snake oiled up in a bowl of ice. But the way females are built, we make it really, really difficult for males to identify the father. In fact, well, anybody that's watched daytime TV, and I know I have, will tell you that. On we go. Okay, so having slapped that upside the head as well. We've pretty much said that we're doing it all. We're doing the choosing. You've got the bling. And we're going to do it alone. Because we can do it alone. Ha ha! We're going to find out what we could maybe do that would be different in a female version. What we could maybe say that would be different in a female version to the version we have now. Now, I'm going to ground my stuff, the gynocentric stuff, in existing theory. Geoffrey Miller, in the year 2000, decided that Darwin's sexual selection and descent should be, what's the word? Resurrected. Yeah. Women really should be doing the booty calling after all. It explains all these nice little things like eyes and wings and things like that. Now, fair enough, Miller doesn't explain some things that are difficult in evolutionary psychology, like homosexuality or female orgasm, but he says that it explains really difficult problems in humans, such as intellect and elaborated language. Now, nobody knows why we have such big brains. There are some ideas, but before sexual selection was reintroduced, nobody could really explain it well enough how we expanded our brains at such a large extent, and nobody can explain why we use elaborated language. That's language that we use outside necessity. It's using azure instead of blue. It's, you go on? Yeah, poetry, love songs, pillow talks, all that sort of stuff. Anything that comes out of a man's mouth is elaborated language. Now, what Miller says is that elaborated language and intelligence, the expanded intelligence that humans have, are both sexual selection bling in the male. Yeah? Now, he does that because if he's going to reintroduce sexual selection by the female, he has to define these really fabulous traits before we can get at them. Yeah? He wants to own intelligence and evolution, elaborated language for the males. And this is something that's really common in evolutionary psychology. It's a derivation of the superior genetic theory. Basically, men are telling women what they should be choosing men for, rather than us doing it themselves. However, he's been a bit too clever on this one, because evolutionary psychology theories are probably the epitome of both elaborated language and intelligence. An academic paper is a piece of writing that's supposed to show people how smart you are. It encompasses both of them. Next one. So we're not going to hit him upside the head. He might be a very nice man. I've never met him. What we're going to do is we're going to take Miller's theory. We're going to assume that he's right. We're going to say, okay, males have the bling of intelligence. Males have the bling of elaborated language. Just for just now, males own those things. We chose elaborated language, for example. Next one. Now, if we take Jared Diamond and Miller together, what we get, well, this is my reading of it, and we all know what women, can interpret things. Evolutionary psychology theories are a form of elaborated language. Elaborated language is a piece of speech that is a male piece of bling that is It's intended to keep us where we are. The male theories that come out of evolutionary psychology tend to be biased towards the patriarchal status quo. As a male-dominated academic discipline, that's probably understandable. What I want to ask is, how did it start? If this is the case now, how did we get like that? Next one. Welcome to the Bliss model. Now, bipedalism is something that's pretty well definitive of humans. In fact, the way we vocalize has got a lot to do with being bipedal and the way that our lungs and our jaw all develops. I'm not an archaeologist either. But there are other things that change as well. So, for example, as a woman, yes, I can already see where I'm going with this. If we're looking at evolutionary parent control as a woman, before you're bipedal, this is the position you're in. All your limbs reach the ground, right? I can't do that now, I'm too old. And males attempting to engage with females can be done pretty much with very little consent from the females. Males have a lot of control of the way that happens. Now, standing upright moves the female genital position relative to our body right underneath here. We have it hidden now. Whereas males, rather than having it tucked in away here, now have it front and center. Now, this means that rather than engaging a woman from behind, which I'm not going to ask anybody to demonstrate that, rather than engaging a woman from behind, you have to engage her face to face. Now, if you engage her face to face, you have to deal with the legs, the arms, the teeth, and the eyes. So basically, bipedalism creates a female that has an awful lot more control over the reproductive parent control. Yeah? They have control about coitus. Now, to add to that, one of the things that happens over evolutionary history is that, next. Get your line cards. Right. Okay, the genders diverge about the pleasure and the reproductive functions in sex. Basically, the way it works for men, and, you know, apart from Tantra, I know tantrics can, you know, but in general, the fun is at the same time as the reproducing. Am I right? Yeah. Not so for women. The fun is separate from the reproducing. You don't have to have an orgasm to have a baby, right? Now, the position of the clitoris, line card? It's my daughter. The flitterus. Flitterus, is that better?
Much better.
Flying Fandango?
Fantastic.
It's positioned now as a gatekeeper between the man in front and the coitus. So, in short, no orgasm, no reproductive sex. Ha ha ha. Basically, females can get their kicks, whereas males have to, you know, kind of ejaculate. Females have nothing to do with the reproductive bit in order to get the good stuff. We can get all the fun without actually risking pregnancy. Hurrah! Now, if we are going to What slide is that? Oh yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, you left it there. Sorry. I was going to accuse you of going along too fast there. So, if we're going to have a clitoris, fine, whatever, one of them. Let's go back to the genome reader, right? And the problem was that we don't have one. Now the Fandango makes a fabulous mate selector. It's very difficult for males to engage or to create a female orgasm, which makes it a sort of genome reader whereby males have to develop a way of encouraging their ability to create orgasm in females in order to get babies. Yeah? With me?
Not really, no.
Sorry?
You said on the page before, you said that there is no relation in having a pleasure of sex and reproduction functions, such as orgasm, have nothing to do with reproduction. So
The way males get reproductive sex is to go through the clitoris. Does that make sense? Are you liking this? So the genome radar, the big nose, or some part of your brain somewhere that says you've got great genes. Bugger that! I want an orgasm. Bring that on. That's how I select my men, whether they can make me come. Yeah. Now I can prove this! All hail to Rachel Maines! Okay, Rachel Maines wrote a social history of the vibrator and hysteria in women. The basic principle is that if we don't get enough orgasms, we go nuts. Hysterical. And that's the way you used to cure it, by going to the doctor and having an upside down spider. We called it. At the time, it was called hysterical cathexis. Oh my God, paging Uncle Freud, isn't it? Now, the reason the vibrator was invented at all was that doctors found giving women a hand job onerous and difficult. Right? So we know, because there are vibrators, we know that females trying to get past the clitoris in order to get to the reproductive bits that they like, because, that's their fun, it's not with a hand. So, if the clitoris... Oh, God! Sorry! Clitoris! I own it! Right. On to the next one. You get the idea. Okay, so let me ask you a question. If it's not with her hand, and if the clitoris is the way of deciding who to booty call, what are they doing? What could a man do that would develop his tongue? Yeah! What kind of action could a male perform that would result in his tongue being sexually selected by a female using her clitoris? Yeah. Tell me there's nobody that doesn't understand that yet, but I don't.
Don't make her say it.
Don't make me say it! 'Cause I will say I will! This poor woman I had to put up with this for 10 years in detail. Can you imagine how f***ed up my son is? So this is why I grounded my work in Geoffrey Miller. Because Miller wants elaborated language to be male bling. Okay, you can have it, but I want my clitoris to be the booty call. That's how you got it. You got it giving me orgasms, not by telling me poetry or love songs. So what the hell went wrong? Why are we not all doing this? Well, basically, in a competitive co-evolutionary way, males look for ways to cheat, to get around it, to not to bother doing it, because you spend an hour like that. By the way, apparently 83% of men like the taste. That's what 10 years being single will do. The tongues get more skillful and more skillful because they're sexually selected. That's what happens to them. Every generation, the skill gets bigger and bigger and bigger, like a peacock's tail. So eventually, they make better sounds. And it gets to the point where the female goes, oh, all right, just do it, you know? And they miss out the clitoris test. Now, as language gets more and more detailed, they're more and more able to persuade us that a clitoris is not a good idea at all. In fact, by the time we get to the 15th century, and that's the Malleus Maleficarum, my God, I even said that right, I need more drink. The Malleus Maleficarum is witchcraft for dummies, basically. It's the Catholic Church, it's Pope Innocent the 14th. Oh my God, that's sad knowing that. The papal edict saying that witches should be burnt, even although the Catholic Church didn't believe in witchcraft. But what they said was that the clitoris is the devil's teeth. If a woman can be shown to have a clitoris, then she's been worshipping the devil, basically. I mean, it's a good idea. You fiddle up there. Have a look for it anyway. So by the 15th century, doing the clitoris test is not a good idea. It will get you up against a stake and burnt to death. Perhaps a bit risky. And after that, does anybody not agree? I mean, I could go on about, men have been telling us that we gossip, that our stories are Mother Goose tales, that our language and our intelligence, if we went back to Darwin, saying that females are generally less intelligent than males. We're more emotional, all the rest of it. We've heard all this, haven't we? Yeah. Well, basically, bless you. Basically, Geoffrey Miller claiming elaborated language and intelligence hasn't moved on from that at all. And that's the year 2000. That's where we still are. That the males are intelligent and have the elaborated language and it belongs to them. Yes, please. But it doesn't. It doesn't have to be. Sexual selection of elaborated language and intelligence may have put us back one whole single generation in the whole of human history since Australopithecine. I need more alcohol. Australopithecine, yeah, there we go. Australopithecine afarensis, proto-humans. Since we developed from the Australopithecines into the Homo line, one generation ahead of us, right? Over and above that, it's up to you what you want in a male. Now, I like the clitoris idea. And you see why I'm single. But it doesn't have to be. That's just one example. It's up to you what you want out of a male. Males have been telling us in evolutionary psychology researchers have been telling us what we want from males, from Charles Darwin to Geoffrey Miller and all the way up through. For 150 bloody years, men have been telling us what we should choose fathers for our children for. And it's about bloody time that we decided to do it ourselves. You don't have to have the clitoris, but feel free, you've all got one. You know, give it a try. What can it hurt? Now, Stephen Jay Gould wrote a lot over many years. He's a great evolutionist. He said that all evolution is a just so story. It's stories we tell ourselves to explain how we got there. Now, the Bliss model and Evolving for Girls is just another story. If it goes whoosh, that's okay. If you get a decent comeback from looking at the website later or having a look at the book to find out, you know, how you can get a comeback for an evening's argument with a male, excellent. The purpose of me ranting on about this isn't to convince you that I'm right. It's to convince you that this needs to change. We need to take some bloody charge of evolution. We need to take charge of the males we decide to have rather than waiting for them to choose us. It is our evolutionary right to choose whatever damn person we want. That's what I would like to have the take-home message for, is that we have control. We have the power. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Doreen. I mean, are you up to take a few questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does anybody have any questions? Queries?
Oh, wow. Excellent. See, that's why I agreed. Flitterist. The word is flitterist. Can I go now?
Will you be sharing your work with us post the talk tonight?
Yes. This is the first talk I've done in 15 years, so it's been a bit ragged. This is a meltdown of a book that I completed in September. And that is something like 150 pages of the basic principle of what's wrong with evolutionary psychology now and how we could fix it. That's going to be available through the website, free, a chapter a month. I'm still figuring out, I don't want to have people paying for knowledge. This is not what this is all about. This is why I'm here standing saying this tonight for no fee. I don't want fee for the book. I want it to be open source wherever possible. It might go on Amazon, it might go through another publisher, but it will be available free, complete by this time next year. So you just have to keep on coming back to the website. Haha. The website has very little on it, but I will put the PowerPoint up, and I'll put the script that I thought I was going to stick to up there too, so you can read what I intended to say rather than what I've actually said. So the website, I'm useless with it, but I'll try.
Hi. As it happens, I'm an evolutionary biologist
Oh, hello!
and a feminist.
Excellent.
And I have to say, so yes, I would agree that some evolutionary psychology is horrendously oversimplistic.
Mhm.
What they have done is actually ignore the knowledge and the evidence that has been gathered by people studying animal behaviour.
Absolutely.
These things who have extended the same principles to humans.
Yeah.
In cases.
Well,
And I
you'd
do
know
have to
Ophir and
say-
Bennett then.
But I do have to say there is quite a lot of evidence that we do respond to good genes. We are not doing it consciously, and I have to say it is actually quite disturbing. We might all look at rationalisations, but the bottom line is there are a number of cues to good genes. And what do we mean by good genes? Well, for example, women.
Symmetry and beauty.
Symmetry is a very good indicator, actually. But very importantly, there is something. This is where it gets a wee bit dodgy. It's called MHC, the major histocompatibility.
Yes,
So ideally, what we want is someone whose MHC is a bit different from ours. Because
Right.
If they're too similar, then we have less chance of reproducing successfully.
Can I?
Yeah, so there is actually loads of evidence from lots of different studies that we do respond to scent cues that we are not consciously aware of. But here's the interesting part, and also the thought-provoking part. If women are on
You see me
the
ready at
pill-
pounds, can you?
If women are on the pill,
They go
because
for
actually-
people who are
they
immunodeficient.
actually do not make such biologically wise choices,
Yeah.
and they are less likely to. They actually take longer to. This is where it gets really quite profound.
Right. Can
It
I?
takes longer to actually conceive. So what I'm saying is there is actually a whole slew of different studies that do quite clearly demonstrate that we as humans do respond to indicators.
Right. Basically, what you said. Now this is one of my favourite bits of kit, and I actually took it out to shorten the damn thing. Basically, what you're saying is that if a woman takes the oral contraceptive and then has sex with a man, she's choosing the wrong baby father.
I am saying that she will be attracted to different males from the ones that she would have been attracted to if she weren't on the pill. Because I would also add,
You've taken away the risk.
Women's actual preferences do change depending on the stage of the cycle. So if they are ovulating normally, by the way, you're not if you're on the pill, because that actually, that's one of the major effects. But women's tastes change depending on the stage of their cycle. So
That depends. No. That depends. There are female researchers who say that women back off from males when they're fertile or during that stage of their cycle. A lot of the research done in evolutionary psychology that says what you're saying, that women are more open and
that's not what I
up for
said.
sex.
Excuse me. No, I didn't say that. You're actually words in my mouth that I didn't actually say. I'm saying that women's tastes will change depending on the stage of the cycle. I would also relate the change in taste to another point I wanted to make, which is, in the animal behaviour literature, we have known for a long time that it's overly simplistic to say that one sex is always the competitive sex and one sex is always the choosy sex. Because that is an oversimplification. Now, I agree, a lot of evolutionary psychologists have gone with that simplistic approach, but the fact is, for decades we have known that is not the case. So what it actually does is underestimate the amount of male choosiness as well as competition, but also female competition as well as choosiness. But I would also like to, I could actually go on all night, but I'll try and get
Oh, same here. Yeah.
but just also, just as a point of interest, again, one of the things that has bugged me about some of the evolutionary psychology just so stories has been supposed findings that support the notion that women are naturally more monogamous. I mean, you made some reference to this, that women are naturally more monogamous and men are the ones going around and spread the seed. Well, we have known, I can give you an exact citation, Waller and Burkhead, 1989, actually published a paper where they reviewed the mating behaviour of mammals, and they found that in the majority of species, females were in fact mating with more than one male. Now that,
We're a bunch of studs.
So you know, any kind of simplistic, oh, but women are naturally going to be more monogamous, it doesn't actually fit the
Trippers,
either.
yeah.
But again, 1989, we have known that since then. And I would add
Right.
that among the, if you look at any kind of sexual selection theory discussion, then the poster boys are always elephant seals. So I'm going to guess lots of people have seen, these gigantic males competing physically, and you'll have one male who actually dominates a section of the beach, I'm going to say, and there will be females on that because that's good territory for them. So they're there, and you can have a bit of debate about whether it's defending a patch.
Yeah, whether it's a harem or a
They're
lek.
actually basically going to try and interrupt any other male who's trying to mate with the females. But they're always held up as the poster boys for polygyny, to give it the technical term. Polygamy technically actually means, it doesn't actually specify which partner is more than one partner. For some reason, when we talk about humans, polygamy has come to mean one man, many women, but in its technical sense,
Polygyny is loads of
Polygyny very
women.
specifically-
Polyandry is more than one
exactly.
male.
Those are both forms of polygamy. So I'm just trying to make sure that everyone kind of knows what I'm talking about here. So basically, you have this. These are the textbook example for a situation where you have enormous, powerful males that dominate access to females. Polygyny. But in fact, even those females in the harem, as it is often called,
Lek.
even those females will actually mate with more than one male.
A lek, by the way, you might not know
again,
this.
it just shows, and we've known this for decades. So
Okay,
I
can
just wanted to
I
say
can I
it's
just
not-
say?
this is not actually an academic. Darwin was a genius. A lot of evolutionary biology and our understanding of animal behavior, understanding of behavior as well, increasingly, it does stack up a lot of it to the theory. So I don't want to have people thinking it's all a load of garbage, because it's not. There's undoubtedly some gross oversimplifications when it comes to evolution.
I agree that it should
But
be
it's
both.
not, please do not throw the baby out with the bathwater, is what I'm saying. And I was
No, all you guys are great. By the way. Not, all you guys have sat there and listened to me. So big up for that. Okay, so Fisher, it has to be said, was he an evolutionary biologist or
runaway selection.
protogeneticist? He was one of the few people who actually used Darwin's descent version of sexual selection anywhere between 1871 and the year 2000 when Geoffrey Miller brought it back. What I'm saying is that the decision-making processes do not include sociology, and I imagine yours pretty much don't either. I certainly know that at Edinburgh, doing the evolution of cognition, no sociology at all.
Well, I would say, because I do say this to the students actually, point out Darwin was so far ahead of his time because he basically said at a time when women in Victorian England were supposed to lie back and think of England, completely passive, as you mentioned, property and so on, Darwin had the temerity to suggest that females are making choices. So he was so far
He
ahead
suggested
in
that female animals make choices, but he couldn't
Yes,
figure it out for women.
But
He
that's my
wouldn't
point, is
accept it for
He was not
females.
suggesting that females were the passive recipient of whichever male won the contest.
He was in humans.
Well, the fact of the matter is,
He was in humans.
the fact of the matter is, though, that within the study of animal behaviour, that was also ignored. But until about, you could say about the 70s, and then people began to get back into the idea of female choice. So it's fair to say that within that field as well, it was ignored for a very long time, the suggestion that females played an active role. But as of about the 1970s, then that idea was much more accepted for them.
Thank you.
So
Could we
evolutionary
perhaps
psychologists need to be more evolutionary biology, journal articles is what I would suggest. But anyway, sorry.
Possibly.
I don't wanna go
Not
into
at all.
I've done it too late. Sorry, Bob.
you have to coffee sometime. Yay. Let's talk some more. Oh my God, we could be there all night. I'll make sure we've got enough lozenges to keep on talking. I hear you.
The person who left earlier is also an evolutionary biologist as well, but she had to go. So at least there's only one of us. So I was kind of saying something. So I was kind of, this was both of our.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is that there needs to be more of a balance between a gynocentric view and an androcentric view. The androcentric view now dominates. I'm not suggesting it's all wrong. That's why I said that at the beginning. I am not suggesting that what already has been done is all wrong. It's just one half. It's the male point of view. I'd like to see anybody at all in any of them discuss multiple births in females. Because if your male can identify a woman who is likely to have twins in the family, then realistically he should be going for her instead of a woman with one.
Be enough resources to support twins if it's an evolutionary approach.
But he would get two babies.
Yeah, but if there's not enough resources, if he's not got a good enough sorry, this is a little bit esoteric.
Well,
But,
we talk about maximization rather than optimization. But thank you. Interesting
She
points.
loves to argue. She loves it.
And everybody else is going, for Christ's sake!
The debate. It's okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's the idea. Let's start talking about it. Let's see if we can get some bloody research done into clitorises.
The devil in my head is kind of making me want to ask this.
Tell you what, come on, like the website. Come on, like the website.
If we are to say that male biologists, or scientists or psychologists, whatever we want to call, are just they can't do this theory justice because they're just male and they're not going to understand it, then the obvious extension of that is that I, as a female scientist, can't actually do my subject properly because I'm a girlie and I'm not going to understand.
Oh, no. You can't understand what it's like to be a male. No, you can't understand what it's like to be a male any more than they can understand what it's like to be us. We need to talk to each other and tell each other what it's like to be us.
Surely this is a problem of conditioning.
Yeah.
Sex for years and years, is that like males have been taught for 150 years that they are the smarter sex. Therefore, if you've been told you're white over and over again, then you're gonna think you're white, Like so it's a problem for both sexes that we have been put into these brackets and gone, right, you're a man, you're more, intelligent, you're a woman, it's a problem on both sides.
And sociological conditioning, it can also be unconscious.
Well, yes.
So there is a debate to be. Excellent. You have proved the point that I wanted to make tonight, is that there is a debate to be had. Thank you.
And this is exactly why I pick these places to have these kind of events. I think we learn better, we talk better, we're having more fun in the spaces where we negotiate and renegotiate. We co-own these. Yeah, there's also Facebook, if anybody wants to extend the conversations on. Following the break we're going to have, please everybody do eat the food that everybody's brought. Refresh your glasses, and after the break, around 9 o'clock, we've got Ewan Aitken. He's going to be talking about power, people, and process, how we make decisions about what we want for the city and its communities. So please do stick around, and please do carry on the conversations. It's important that we evolve our knowledge. And thank you very much, Doreen.